Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're taking a look at Fragrance World's Harmony Code Absolute. All right, so Harmony Code Absolute is from the House of Fragrance World. It's an eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick this sucker up for $35, $40 at various discounters. Links are gonna be down in the description if you decide you wanna check this one out. Also some coupon codes, save yourself $5, 5% off various discounters if you decide you want to shop with them. So presentation on this, a pretty straightforward cardboard box, has the name of the fragrance and the fragrance house right there. Kind of a wood grain sort of vibe going on to it. All the necessaries on the back, but overall, pretty boring cardboard box. And the bottle presentation, pretty straightforward. It's kind of a rounded bottle, but it has these kind of like almost these dented or divots that go into it. I'm not sure if that's the most flattering way to describe it, but nice looking bottle, nice thick heavy glass, a nice thick base to this one. Cap on this, pretty straightforward, just cylindrical cap that is kind of a thick plastic so it won't crush in my powerful hands. And the atomizer on this is pretty decent. Nice fat sprays, goes a decent distance, will absolutely get the job done. So overall presentation, nothing too crazy, but decent. So if you were wondering what Fragrance World's Harmony Code Absolute smells like, you've come to the right place, because I'm about to tell you. Some of the notes listed in this are an orange, apple, orange blossom, nutmeg, vanilla, tonka, leather, and some woods. So let me tell you what I get from this fragrance. In the opening, you get a nice mix of kind of some citrus sweet, some of that apple sweet that comes through, and you get that nice vanilla, this really creamy vanilla that comes through with a little bit of spice. It has a bit of a brightness to it, a bit of a crispness to it, but that vanilla really kind of pulls things down. It isn't kind of a nice, thick, creamy style of vanilla, but it mixes in really well with that orange and that apple sweetness that works its way in. The orange blossom in this does come through. It adds an additional kind of floral sweetness to it, just kind of softening the edges of this. And just all these sweet accords just really balance out and work together quite nice. You get a little bit of fruity sweetness, you get a little bit of floral sweetness, and then you get a big heavy dose of that vanilla that comes through, and it's just absolutely delicious style of vanilla. As this opens up, you get a little bit more nutmeg comes through, and a lot of this tonka bean starts to push its way through. So it's a kind of a nice, dry, dusty style of tonka. Has a bit of a vanillic accord to it, but it also has this woody profile, and it works really well with that nutmeg that's there. And it has this nice kind of soft, sensual leather that just kind of is sitting around the edges, just has a little hint of that leather that works in with those sweet accords, that little touch of that spice and that kind of that dry, dusty tonka that's there, and it all works together very, very well. And in the dry down, it's really about that vanilla that comes through with that tonka. A little bit of woods just kind of form a foundation, and that leathery kiss that's around the edge. So it's a very vanillic, tonka bean, kind of dusty, with like a soft, sensual leather, all kind of wrapping around it, sitting on a nice wood base, and it's just an absolutely gorgeous fragrance. This is probably the most spot-on clone of the Armani Code Absolute that I've ever smelled. This is, I have the original. I was lucky enough to get the original before it got discontinued. This is like one of my favorite fragrances, especially from the Armani Code line. And let me tell you, aside from like maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes, the opening on this is a little bit different. This one isn't as smooth, isn't as, just doesn't have that same kind of quality in that first 5 to 10 minutes. But once this opens up and works towards the dry down, they're almost hard to tell apart. It's very indistinguishable between these fragrances. They did a very good job with this. One difference I would say is there isn't carrot seed note in this where there is in the original. And I kind of like that it doesn't have this one because it allows a little bit more of that vanillic sweetness to come forward. So this one has a little bit more of that vanillic sweetness than the OG, but the same kind of tonka comes through, the same kiss of that leather comes through and through. This is a really, really well done spot-on clone of the Armani Code Absolute. So if you're into that fragrance, or you've always been curious about it, or if you just like yourself a good vanilla fragrance, you definitely want to check this one out. So when it comes to the performance of Fragrance World's Harmony Code Absolute, I get pretty good performance off this. First 2 hours, I get really good projection off this. This really does kind of push off, forms a really nice scent bubble, really nice sillage, and then it does settle in about the 2 hour mark, but I was getting whiffs myself throughout the day with this one. So it does kind of sit a little bit outside of like the intimate zone, if you were. It does have a really nice scent bubble that kind of forms, and you're just gonna get whiffs of yourself throughout the duration of this fragrance, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. In terms of longevity, I'm clocking between 6 and 8 hours off of my skin, so it's not a beast mode when it comes to longevity, but it does perform a little bit above average, and it does outperform the original. I have tested these side by side on different parts of my arms and all that kind of stuff, and this does outperform the OG, so overall performance on this, pretty pleased. So when it comes to the where and when, I think Fragrance World's Harmony Code Absolute would be most appropriate. This is definitely a cool weather fragrance, so fall and winter seasons is where this one's going to absolutely shine. That sweet creamy vanilla, the warmth that's in here, that dry dusty tonka mixing in with that kind of sexy sensual style of leather, and those woods just really, really work. And that little kiss of that nutmeg just to kind of give it a little bit of a spice. It just works in the fall and winter. So definitely a cool season style of fragrance. Could wear this in the spring. It does have a little bit of a, kind of a fresh opening. Has that fruity sweetness with that orange blossom floral sweetness that's in there. So it can lend itself to kind of more of a cooler spring day, I'd say, but it doesn't have that kind of fresh, rejuvenating style of spring fragrance that you might be used to. So fall and winter time is definitely where I think this one's going to shine. And in terms of occasions, very versatile fragrance. You can wear this casually, great for date nights. You can dress this one. It just has that sensuality, that kind of almost a mystique to it, but it really has that kind of dressed up, sophisticated elegance to it at the same point. So formal occasions, this would absolutely work, and office safe for sure. You're not going to offend anybody with this one. This is just a dumb reach compliment beast of a fragrance that just has that mass appeal to it. Maybe not the best gym fragrance. Again, it just doesn't fit the vibe for the gym. It's too sweet, doesn't quite have that kind of freshness that you would be looking for, but overall, very versatile fragrance across occasions and perfect for the fall and winter time. So my overall thoughts on Fragrance World Harmony Code Absolute. This is a fantastic fragrance. This is, I know I mentioned it earlier, but this is like a very, very spot on clone, and it's really impressive how well they did with this one. Like I said, this is almost indistinguishable from the OG, and the OG being one of my favorite old school fragrances. Fragrance World knocked it out of the park when it comes to that one. Really enjoy the scent profile on this. The performance is pretty good. It beats out to the OG in my personal opinion. And I think this is just a great, sexy, sophisticated, gentlemanly style of scent accord that just works across all sorts of different occasions, and is just perfect for that fall and winter season. It has that coziness to it, has that comforting side to it, but it just has that sweetness and warmth that you would want in those cooler weather, and I just absolutely love this one. Compliment beast, just easy to reach for, has that mass appeal, and fantastic. I highly recommend this fragrance. I think it's absolutely fantastic. If you're into that kind of vanilla tonka with a little bit of leather, a little hint of some spices in it, I think this one's an absolutely must to check out. That's Fragrance World's Harmony Code Absolute. And I want to hear from you guys. What's another Fragrance World fragrance that I need to check out? I need to do a full review for you guys. Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love getting your different recommendations, your hidden gems, different tastes and scent profiles. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.